Hi, everybody, and welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Shannon D, and today I am joined by the boys from the Good Children Pod, where they reflect on their 23 years of friendship, growing up in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and all the nostalgia, trauma, and assholery that come with it.
I love that intro.
I'm so happy that you read it. It's like going forward, we want you to read it.
Yeah,
on our
that's such a
podcast.
relief to hear.
Please welcome Joe Hedges and Andrew Mascarella.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys for being
Yeah,
here.
we're so
Of
excited.
course.
I am so excited. So we met at the Spotify event on Thursday,
yes.
and I immediately went up to them and like jumped on their backs. Basically, it's like, I love you guys. I know them from TikTok.
Thank you.
But then in the past 4 days, I've basically been listening to nothing but your pod.
Stop.
I
I'm
had to go all the
sorry.
way to the back. It
How are
was
you
so
doing?
good.
How are you doing
Voices.
mentally?
You know, I'm holding in there. A lot of my own trauma has resurfaced
Yeah,
from
that
listening to
happens.
it.
That happens.
So many like memories have been sparked for me of like what life was like as a kid that I
Yeah.
completely forgot about, like really embarrassing moments.
You're reliving
Yeah.
those embarrassing moments.
Reliving them.
You're reclaiming them.
Reclaiming them.
Yes.
I literally
Yes.
told my boyfriend a story that I've never told anyone in my life before last night because you guys inspired me. And I was
Stop.
holding on to this like guilt. It was like
Yeah.
a freshman year thing. Maybe we'll talk about it later. I don't know
Wait.
if I'm ready to
Gosh.
share with the entire audience.
if you're
but
ready, we'll be here.
We'll be here to listen.
That's
We will.
amazing, though. That's
Yeah.
the goal.
We
I
don't
felt
even-
lighter.
It's like, it is so nice that like we don't even recognize sometimes the things that we say because like we've always been next to each other, but
Yes.
like we really bear it all.
But sometimes
really
Andrew
do.
specifically will tell a story that I'm like, how in this long of our friendship,
Yes.
as you were living this experience as I was hanging out with you every single day, how did I never know you went to military camp? Like things like that. Like it's always those moments where I'm like, how did we just
How
find
am
this
I
out?
I
learning
knew I
new
went to camp, but then I
things?
come back and I'm like, it was good.
It was fine. It was okay.
And now I'm like going on an expose of all the
Crying about
trauma
it,
that I
like-
experienced.
military camp?
Yeah, I
when
went-
was that?
Well, it wasn't necessarily. Well, it was kind of military camp. It was Boys State. So
Oh.
I went to Boys State in New York, but it was run by the Marines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was there for 7 days, like not
Did you
in tip-top
learn
shape. I
training?
learned discipline.
Oh, okay.
And you had no
okay.
idea that it was run by the Marines
I had
until
no idea
you
it was
got
run.
there.
No, they pitched it as like an opportunity. It was basically like a resume booster, is what I thought it was going to be. And what I learned was it didn't boost anything, not even my confidence. So it
Actually,
was,
I'm sure it instilled
The
worse
opposite.
confidence
Oh,
for you there.
absolutely, like doing like 3-mile runs at 5 a.m. Yeah.
And did you know that you were going to be doing that at
No,
all?
I had no idea there was any
You thought it was
physical
going to be like
conditioning.
sailing, tug
No,
of war.
I
I
thought it was-
found out on the bus there. on the bus there.
So it was pitched to me like it was like a political camp. It was like everyone was going to go there and they were like running for office. Like the whole point was like to find the governor of Boys State. And at the time I was like class president. I was like, this is my shit.
Right.
I was like living a fantasy world. I don't know. But I was like, okay, this is great. Like I can campaign for myself. I can do this. I get on the bus. I look around. No one looks like me. I'm like a bigger kid. I'm like,
Yeah.
these guys look like they've been doing 150 crunches a day for the past
You're like,
5 years.
I think I got on the wrong bus.
Yeah, exactly. And then they were like, yeah, man, like, I'm trying to go into ROTC. I'm like, RO who? ROT what?
TCPY.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You mean the frozen yogurt place because I'm obsessed with that place. No, so yeah, then I found out really early on that once we met our Marine, I had to learn how to make a bed, and I just slept on top of my bed every day because
You
they
didn't
did room
want to
checks.
remake it.
Yeah, and if it wasn't
Cadet
made
Kelly.
correctly, they threw your bed. Yeah,
And you have to like
so-
bounce a quarter off of it, right?
basically, yeah. And you had the perfect like tucks. So anyways, we did talk about that on our Boy State episode. It's little stories like that.
Little story.
Little
I know.
stories.
I feel like when the episodes that I've been listening to, yeah, it's always like,
Huh?
Andrew. How have I never known this?
Yeah.
But I think I was telling you guys a little bit the other day that I also have best friends that I grew up with since I was
Yes.
4, and they live out here.
Really?
Right.
And the listeners know them. They're referred to here. They've become like characters on the show as Parallel Parking Maddie.
Love.
Because this one time, the first time we ever got high, she wasn't high, but she like parallel parked, and the rest of us were like, whoa, you did that so good. And she was just like, they don't call me Parallel Parking Maddie for nothing. And like in our high state, we thought it was the funniest thing we've ever heard in our life. So she's just always been Parallel Parking Maddie. And then Caroline, who is the acupuncturist that everyone knows on the pod. But
I'd
so
like
anyway,
to speak with Caroline.
You need
Yes,
to see
I
Caroline
I would love
immediately.
to speak with
well, my
Caroline.
co-host Danny thinks that acupuncture is like complete bullshit, so that's how like we've had a whole debate about it.
You're kidding.
We need to have her on
Well,
to like
Danny's not in the
spar
room,
with
so-
Danny.
Well, yeah.
So we grew up with each other since we were 4. My sister and their brothers were all 2 years older than us in the same grade. Our moms were all good friends. Our dads were friends because they were forced to be together,
of
but
course.
we all went on like family vacations together. And so I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about like, because it's so special having friends from your entire life that like aren't your siblings, but it's like people that you choose to hang out
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
But there's this sense of like growing pains that happen throughout
Of course.
because you're going through all of these stages of life that you're not like mature enough to understand. And so like, for example, for us, like our hardest time was middle school because it was like all of a sudden we were like going through puberty. We were growing boobs, getting pubic hair. Like we couldn't shower together anymore because we wanted
Yeah.
to hide our bodies from
Right.
one another. We were like more seriously having crushes on guys. And then we were judging each other though for like making out with boys because we
Right.
wanted to
Yeah.
be doing that, but
Yeah.
I was too prudish.
Of
Yeah.
course.
And some of us were like doing more than just that.
Right.
And so we kind of like bullied each other
Like out of jealousy, too.
out of jealousy and not understanding.
Yeah.
So what was like the hardest period for your friendship?
I feel like it probably was high school
Yeah.
because we went to the same school up until ninth grade, and then I went to a Catholic high school, and Andrew went to the public school.
Yeah.
So for our first time in our friendship, we were not like seeing each other every single day at school, and I think that was when like Andrew really like popped off socially and like was class president and like had all these friends and was in every single sport possible, and I was like sitting alone at the cafeteria at my Catholic school like wanting to transfer out.
Yeah.
So like I think in that moment like that was the beginning of kind of a maybe not a decade, but a long breach in the friendship. Like we only really found our way back to each other in the way that we're back now, which is like disgustingly codependent.
Yes.
In like our
Because
mid-20s.
they're roommates too, by the way,
we
guys.
lived
Yeah.
together.
Yes.
But the thing is, I think even with like high school, we wouldn't see each other every single day in school, but we still would hang out a lot. But I think it turned into like a lot more silence. Like we would
Yeah.
be existing together in the basement, like throwing on a TV show and just
Oh,
like
totally.
sitting there and like sitting in silence.
Because we were both avoiding having an actual conversation, which was
Right.
like, who do you like at school?
Yeah.
Right. Because also they were closeted at
Yes.
this point. And you guys
Yeah.
didn't come out till you were like 23-ish?
21.
Yeah, I came
21,
out when I
okay.
was 23 to my family, but 21 to like Joe.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe didn't
Because they saw each other on
Tinder.
Tinder.
Yeah, which is
It's
so,
so
crazy.
sick. If you can't tell, we're really avoidant, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah,
Longer
very,
story.
very avoidant. But yeah, I feel like that's the main place. I mean, middle school too. We like fought, but besides
Were we
that,
fighting in middle school?
Mrs. Donovan's 7th grade math
Well, that was
class.
different. That was the Panera cookie day. Yeah, that was actually a fight.
What
but we
happened?
didn't. Again, it was a. No, like. It's just like we could wrap up the episode. I'm the asshole.
Is this the story?
No.
Okay.
This
We've
was
got multiple.
We were going to Hawaiian night at my future high school's. It was a basketball game. Andrew was coming. My mom was driving us. Then we went to Panera on the way back, and
Mm-hmm.
Andrew got a cookie from Panera, and he didn't say thank you for the cookie. And I like internalized it so deeply that like for a month we did not speak in 7th grade. Like, and we were in the same
Like,
math
why
class.
aren't you you talking to me? Like, what?
And he wouldn't say.
I wouldn't say. I think I honestly only revealed it on the podcast. Like he was like, "What do you mean that was the reason?"
Everyone was like, "Okay, Andrew, ungrateful." I'm like, I didn't even realize I didn't say thank you.
Sometimes you just forget,
Yeah,
but
I
I
know.
get that. I'm always like hyper aware if like my parents or somebody in my life is treating. Like I'm
Yeah.
always like, "Are you saying thank
Yes.
you?"
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
Well, my best friends and I went to separate high schools too, actually. We
That
went to school up
contributes.
until then, and then one of them moved out here with her mom.
Where are
Her
you from
parents got
originally?
divorced, New Jersey.
New Jersey, yes.
Right outside of Philly. And then my sister and then Maddie, they went to like the high school that I would have gone to, which was the Catholic school, but I went to a performing arts high school. And then they ended up going, because they're a year younger than me, Maddie and Caroline, they ended up going to University of Arizona, and I went to Arizona State. But I kind of did that because I sort of wanted to branch off and do my own thing because I just felt like everyone always just knew us as this like trio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you didn't go to college together, did you?
No.
No, I went away to college and Joe commuted.
Yeah, I was very
Oh,
stuck
okay.
for a very long time. Yeah, but
You
yeah,
were
I do
what?
feel like I was very stuck on Long Island for a very
Oh,
long
yeah,
time.
yeah.
But I do feel like people did see us as a package deal. But I also
Nice.
never really minded that.
No,
Mm-hmm.
like still to this day, like it's still like a Joe and Andrew.
Well,
and
now even
Joe.
more. Now we've labeled
yeah.
ourselves as such.
For
But
But
you
that's
work
like
together,
yeah.
you live together.
Yeah.
and like we'll get invited somewhere, and like instead of getting a +1, it's like, well, you guys are just each other's +1s built
Yeah.
in,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
that, like there's no one else I really would want to go someplace with anyway. So
Yeah.
it is. I'm relieved about that in some
Yeah,
ways.
or yeah, it's like tell Andrew he can come, tell Joe he can come, and
Yeah.
it's never like if he was to come or if I was to come, like nobody's draining the energy. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're wanted there.
I love
which is
that.
nice. Yeah,
That's great.
But you wanted to break away from the trio.
I did because my freshman year, I went to a school outside of New York, Montclair, and in New Jersey. I went with one of my high school best friends, and it was very much like we were like a duo too.
Yeah.
And I just was kind of feeling like I wasn't having my own identity because
Yeah.
I was like a trio with them and then a duo with her. And
That
so
makes sense.
I liked that we all ended up in Arizona, but like I could go and visit them.
Yeah.
But I sort of just wanted to do my own
I get
it's
that.
hard. Like
Yeah.
I think if we were to go to college together, that would be we would be
Yeah.
in a completely different place now.
Yeah.
I think I would probably want to branch out too, just to
We
like,
probably would
meet
not be
people.
speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because me and Joe are like very similar in so many ways, but we're also very different people. So I feel like when you go to a place like college, you're like, this is my time to actually like be who I've wanted to be.
Exactly.
And like meet people who like, you know, right off the first conversation, you're like, yes, you're the one.
And I do feel like we have a habit of like if we are together. I think we've broken out of this in the past year,
sticking.
but if we're together in a social setting, it's like, okay, well, I'm here with you. We're only going to speak to each other, and we won't
Yes.
meet anyone new or have any new experiences.
Yeah.
And I think we've broken free of that.
Us going to gay clubs like 2
Yeah.
years ago, or like even a year ago, we would just like go together and then be like,
Hey, so
Hey,
what's
what's
up?
up?
And then we're like, why is no
in
one
the
talking to
corner.
us?
Yeah. They're like, we must be disgusting ogres.
The
in
gays
the
are so
corner."
mean. No one wants to speak to us.
Like if someone was to look us
Yes.
in the face, we're like, what's on our face? What's happening? What's
Yeah.
going on? Yeah. So
I used to have that thing with like my guy friends in college. I would like go to a party with them, and then neither one of us would understand like why we weren't getting approached by
Right.
like the opposite sex. And it's like, oh, because people think we're a couple.
yeah, that is definitely what happens for
Yes.
people who don't know us when we go out just together. It's
Yeah,
like
they have to think
Joe's in a
you're a couple,
relationship,
right?
I'm not, but it happened this past week. Someone was like hitting on me, and then he was like, "I'm sure your boyfriend knows." And I was in that moment. I was like, "Thank God, Joe, you're my boyfriend right now."
Yeah.
But yes, He
Sometimes
knows.
it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You need that.
yeah.
Yeah, with us, like with my two best friends, I would feel like, yeah, I wanted my own identity a little bit because we have this habit of like reverting back to like our old selves when we get together, and maybe it does feel a little cliquish sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I do feel bad for people who are just hanging out with the three of us because like, you know, we're always just reminiscing and
Right.
but they don't remember anything. Like, I'm impressed with how much the two of you remember so much about your past. I remember everything, and I'm always like, remember this, remember that. And they're
Yeah.
like, no, they can't remember any of it.
I think like what we were doing is like anytime we would have friends over, to your point too, it's not even an isolating experience, but we would have friends over Joe's house and we would go through our archive with people.
Yeah, like we've been doing the podcast,
presentation.
like literally, like it was like my number one social activity. I'd be like, "Come over, let's go through old pictures," and then we would just look at old pictures and talk about them for 4.5 hours.
So you guys were like constantly refreshing
Yes,
your memory.
yeah, we were studying.
We still have that
Smart.
archive. It's like there's so many pictures and videos from when we were 4 till now that we're like, sometimes you just go back and you're like, I can't believe we were doing that.
Yeah,
We're
it's
saying that.
easier to remember when you also like literally see it every single day.
Yes, that makes sense. Well, speaking of from the archive.
Stop.
Kidding.
So these boys have a segment on their podcast called The Girls Room.
Yes.
And which I believe is an ode to Amanda Bynes,
Yes.
the Amanda Show.
Yes.
Of course.
I have a little something to show you. I hope this plays.
Stop. Is it your girls' room?
Sorry I'm late. It's okay. Hi, and welcome to the girls' room.
Stop.
Zelda. This is my best friend, Harriet. So anyway, like today. No. Brad Cougar. He is such a hottie. Yeah. Guess what he did today? I dropped my pencil and he picked it up and he sneezed on it. And oh my god, I was about to faint. It was so cool. Aren't you jealous? He likes me more. As if. Has he ever picked up your pencil and sneezed on it? For your information, he asked me to go to the dance with him. So unfair. Like.
I was so bossy.
Oh yeah, you're me.
Yeah, I can see a
Oh,
lot
I'm
of
like the
Joe in you.
director.
Yeah. I'm Harriet.
It's actually literally us. Stop.
Was this your house that you're recording in? Yeah.
So we used to do this. So
That
okay.
is so
And
incredible.
then from here to literally here, which is like 5 minutes, it is us restarting because I was not happy with her performance.
Yes.
You're literally
The,
me.
the entire time.
Yeah.
And then like I don't know if it'll be able to play because it's on a CD, but like then I come back in dressed as like a dork and she gives me a swirly in the
Stop.
toilet
Oh my.
Wait.
because it wasn't on. I go wait.
Wait. She's like, this is
Literally
us.
watching us. It's so.
Wait. You don't
Stop.
understand. It's like, it's almost verbatim.
Yeah, no, it literally is the exact dynamic.
It's like Joe would be the director, but also be so like animated, and I'd be sitting there like talking to the camera as he was off screen, being
And
like,
just, like-
I don't know what he wants me to do.
And then we did it like every few years.
Stop.
Hi, I'm Tiffany.
We changed our names though.
Oh my gosh, we have so much in store today. It's good. And this isn't a no, it's not. It is our 10th episode.
Was this the same friend?
Yes. We did it literally. We did it.
Wait,
4
you need to
different
market
times.
this.
Yeah. We're like, steal our gig.
Listen, it's an easy format. It works.
is.
Something we hear all the time is people being like, "Me and my best friend did the same thing when we were younger, but no one's ever like been able to show us." But you guys are funnier, more talented, and it looks a lot better visually than
No,
we are.
I don't
so
think so.
put that
I've
shit on
seen your
TikTok.
guys' video. I know we need to. I need to like get it converted because it's literally
It's so
on a
good.
CD-ROM right now.
Yeah, but it's amazing.
Were you putting those videos out on YouTube, or were they
No,
just for you?
I don't even think it was around that time.
Yeah. We were putting it out
No.
on YouTube, but then we stopped doing it quickly because we were like, it's funny to us, but to other people, they're laughing at us.
And you're like, it will have its day.
Yes,
and
This will
we
be
locked it
funny
away
one
for
day.
15 years.
I know. It is really nice that like when you do put that up, if you do put that on the
Yeah.
internet, it's like what we're doing with the pod too. It's like we were so, it's not that we were, we were a little bit ashamed of ourselves at the time, but like you would never put that out there on the internet because you were afraid of people bullying you. But when you're
Yeah.
28 or however old you are,
now
like
it's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And like those kids are getting the attention and the love that they wanted. Was that Parallel Parking Maddie or
That's Parallel
Acupuncture?
Parking Maddie, yeah.
PPM.
Little did she know she was going to be a great driver.
Truly.
She took direction really well.
Yeah, you really are my
I-
parallel parking Maddie.
I do parallel park really well.
You do.
You do?
I do.
Okay, let's get into your guys' AITA.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to start or should
Well,
I
I think you should start because it started you started the trip.
Okay, so I decided it would be really fun if I got a group of my friends together and we went to my summer house in Shelter Island, and we were like, listen, we needed a little escape. And I was like, guys, it's going to be 3 days. We're going to go there. I'll drive us. We'll make food, whatever. So we get there. Everyone chooses their room. We're having a great time. But I think along the way, when we were driving there, is that when it was introduced?
No. Okay, first of all.
Because you were watching Girls before this, and you were like, this is
Oh
gonna be
yes.
some
Oh yeah. No, that
girls.
part was yeah.
okay,
So,
right.
are you familiar with Lena
Yes.
Dunham's Girls? There's an episode where they go to Shelter Island, where they call it the Hamptons. They go to Shelter Island, and it's like the big blowout fight episode of the whole series.
Yes.
Shoshana screams at everyone. Hannah's in a bikini the whole time. I was like, we need to have this experience on at Shelter
That
Island.
was
Like,
Oh, so you
introduced-
wanted.
I was looking
The
for something
blowout.
cinematic.
Okay.
And I was
The
looking for
director
something
in him.
relaxing, but because like the thing about me is like when I plan something, I just inherently get stressed. Like I want to make sure that everybody's having a good time. Like I want to make sure everything is going well.
Okay,
So I'm always
okay.
asking people like, what do you want to eat for dinner? They're like, we really don't care, because on the other side of it, I understand. I'm very go with the flow, and people could just do whatever. But I just felt like everything needed
In
to
charge.
go well.
Labor Day weekend 2021.
Yeah.
Right? No, 2022.
Yeah, with the podcast.
We had
is
started the
happening.
podcast like 6 months ago. We're deep in
okay.
like brain rot TikTok. Like we're like, oh my god, we're stars.
Yes.
And
We're, like,
but
going live on
at the
Instagram,
same
like-
time. Both me and Andrew are deeply celibate. We're only thinking about this podcast. We are only hanging out with each other. Like we have not socialized with other people like since we started the podcast. Like we
Yeah.
are so in the peak of our codependency. We get there, everything's going well. Everything's fine, honestly. I like until we get in the car to go to dinner and we're in an Uber and someone suggests like, oh, we need like Real Housewives drama on this trip. So now someone else is pulling another source into the
We
storyline.
need the drama for
And
the weekend.
I hear that. I'm very much a go with the flow person in that sense. So I said, oh,
That's a
okay,
good.
I have a list of people I'm mad at. Like I made it up.
In this car, I have a list of people.
I was like,
that-
I have a list of people, and there's like someone at the top, and every couple of hours I'll remove one
Like,
person from the
Caroline,
list.
You're off the list. And it would be
But
actually-
everyone took it 100%
because
seriously.
it felt like Joe wasn't joking. So we all were like a little bit on edge. Joe would be like walking ahead of the group, and we would like turn to each other and be like, can you believe that? You're still on the list, right? Like, do you think it's you? And we legit were so serious, and we were like driving, and you could just like feel the energy shifting
tension.
every single time he cut somebody off the list, and you were still on it.
But no, you're speaking from personal experience
Yes.
because I was
Caroline felt
annoyed
sick.
at Andrew. Caroline wasn't even on the list, is the thing. But I was annoyed at Andrew, and I was
but
getting
you were
more.
actually
well,
annoyed
I was
with
getting
him.
annoyed because he was taking the list seriously, and I was
Okay,
like,
but
"Why
then
are you?"
You were like, I'm clearly kidding.
Yes, but because
He
I
never
could,
said that.
I could tell that he was anxious, and I was like, the fact that you think I'm on this vacation at your house,
Yeah.
and I'm making a list, and you
Yeah.
believe sincerely that the
I'm
list
not the
is
one
real.
who got a cookie from
Literally.
my mother and didn't
But
say
on
thank you.
on my side, it's like I planned this trip, and I want to make sure that everybody's having a good time. And now you're
Oh.
introducing drama, and it's ruining my vibe.
didn't-
Okay,
and someone
in the
asked
Real
for this.
Housewives context, you were the host
Yes,
of the
Yes,
trip. Like
exactly.
you should have gotten to pick your room.
Yes.
Like they should have.
And we were
understood.
sharing a room with 2 twin beds.
Yes.
And like by
Okay.
night 1, we were not speaking. So like we were getting into our twin beds on opposite ends of the room and like going to sleep in complete silence and pitch black.
Oh my
And that's
So then we're both really passive people. So like throughout the trip, it was like we wouldn't be able to look each other in the face because we both felt it. And I was like, I didn't even know what was going on. I just thought he was mad at me, but I didn't know why he was mad at me. But he was
Okay.
mad at me because he thought that
I was he was mad at
him.
me.
Okay.
So then it like became this real, but at the same time, lovely trip.
It was amazing
Had an
trip.
amazing.
It
Honestly,
was
would go back
gorgeous.
immediately. It was fantastic. But this was bubbling and bubbling for like the 2.5 days that we were there. Drove home. Also, it's the end of like a friend group trip. Like everyone's tired of each other by the drive home, like by the
Yes.
return. So we were driving back to both of our parents' houses on Long Island because from there we were going to take the Long Island Railroad back to Brooklyn where we live.
Gotcha.
No one's speaking in the car.
Okay.
Lana Del Rey is playing in the car. Like it's a
Very
very
ominous,
somber
yes.
experience. It's Andrew, myself, our friends Rachel and Garrett.
Okay. Caroline's gone.
Caroline's
Caroline's
gone.
gone.
She's off the list. She's safe. She's in the clear.
Okay.
Garrett lives
Garrett.
in Brooklyn with us. Rachel lives on Long Island. So
Okay.
Andrew drops me off first at my house. And I'm like, I'm tired. I might go to sleep. I probably will just meet you back in Brooklyn, like maybe tomorrow, maybe later tonight.
Stay at my parents.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, like, again, still feeling like he's mad at me. We didn't talk in this car, like, whatever. So we leave, me, Garrett, and Rachel. Rachel gets in her car and goes, and I'm talking to Garrett, and we're like, oh, let's go.
No,
take the-
Rachel was
Oh, still
around
with
for
us.
this.
We were talking about the train. We're like, okay, let's check the train times.
Okay.
And then we're like, fuck it. Let's just Uber. Let's Uber back.
Right.
So this sets the stage for the true plot of the story now.
Okay,
So this is all just tension bubbling up.
Gotcha.
I have decided at this point, I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to sleep with my parents. I'm probably going to go back to Brooklyn. Like, let me get on the Long Island Railroad. So I go to the train station. And then I text Andrew and I say, like, hey, I'm actually going to head back now. And he's like,
No, you didn't say that you're going to head back now. Because if I knew that,
No, yeah,
you were like,
I-
when are you leaving?
when are you leaving?
Okay.
At this point, I'm already in the Uber with Garrett. I'm now spiraling in my head, thinking, oh my God, I didn't tell him that we were leaving. We didn't tell him that we were leaving. We're heading back to the same place.
But
Like, I
did
should
you
have.
know he was going home that night?
I
no?
thought, well, this was happening immediately. Like, we were going right in that Uber. Like, Joe
Okay.
said that when he dropped him off, and he was like, I'm going to
I'm
maybe
saying-
see you later
Okay.
tonight or tomorrow morning.
But so, yeah, no, the true thing is the Uber was not the problem.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's that I am now at the train station. I say, what time are you leaving? And Andrew says, we're actually about to get on the train. I'm standing alone on this train platform. I'm looking left and right. I'm like, well, certainly you aren't. But
he doesn't say that.
I don't say that. And now my friend Rachel, who was with them, I was like, is Andrew taking an Uber or something? And she was like, oh yeah, him and Garrett said they were probably going to take an Uber. Why? And I was like, oh, this is the end of our friendship.
So
Not the
now we're
Uber.
in the Uber. I'm freaking out, being like, oh, so he's like, I just lied, right? And I feel like I can't go back from this lie. But the reason that I was lying is because, again, I already thought he was mad at me. I didn't want him to get more mad at me. And I just felt like it was easy to be like, oh, we're getting on the train. Because he didn't know he wasn't leaving.
Yeah, and you didn't want him to think you were like being
Leaving him
bougie by
out.
taking an Uber?
Yeah, no, leaving him out of the equation, even though he already said that he probably wouldn't be coming back. I
Okay,
just felt
so
like I
you
should have
felt
said,
like-
we're heading back on an Uber.
If
Did you
you
want to
wanna
come?
come.
And I never sent that text.
Interesting.
So I'm now like, oh, I'm actually getting on the same train as you. I must not see you at the platform. Like, let's meet up in Penn Station and then we could take the subway back together.
You're like,
I'm like giving it like, and so
Could you
but-
imagine? Like, I'm such a highly anxious person.
Same.
This is literally like the end of my life vibes. I'm
Yes.
like, I don't know what to do.
And so I'm on the train. I am like shaking. Like the one I could deal with anything, but like a lie really does freak me the fuck out.
For sure.
So I'm like, I can't be friends with this person anymore. Like I was like, this is crazy. Like I was freaking out, like in my own induced psychosis, like with my journal on the Long Island Railroad, writing like a goodbye note, being like, we can no longer be friends, roommates, business partners. I can't go to the gym you go to. Like this can't, like I can't do this
my
anymore.
God.
Again, it was also this like extra. I think the codependency was at its peak here because it was that moment, and I was like, if we get into a fight in our friendship,
Right, what do
what
you
does that
do?
mean for the podcast and our apartment and all of our
Everything.
friends? Everything is involved in this.
yeah.
So it's building, and the lie keeps going. Like I definitely at this point didn't help because I was like giving more. I was digging
you
it
were.
deeper.
Yeah.
I was like,
let's
so
meet
yeah, like
here.
let's get on the A together,
I'm
right?
sitting
And then we'll
on
go to
this
the L.
part of the train.
And I heard nothing. I heard no responses.
I'm like, because I'm in my apartment, like having a panic attack because I'm like,
Yes.
I just got caught in the lie, and the lie wasn't for me. Like on my end, yes, lying is wrong, but it wasn't like I meant it to be harmful. But now it has become that, and I actually did it to, I thought, protect myself from like any anger towards me. But now it's
Yes.
now multiplied by at least
100,000, yeah.
100,000 for sure.
Because also the train takes so much longer,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, Joe gets back.
I text Andrew. I'm like, I'm at Penn. I'm just gonna get on the train without you again. Like, just being
He's
like,
not responding.
Yes.
I'm doing my laundry.
I'm walking up to that apartment now, and in my head, I'm like, we're about to have the biggest. Like, this is actually going to be crazy. Regardless, now, like, it's just spiraled into something so massive. The whole weekend has been building up to this. Like, he knows I'm mad. I'm sure he's obviously mad. Like, we're both mad at each other.
Yes.
There's this crazy lie.
Like, I was
But
definitely
in my
mad,
head, I'm like, well, of course
oh,
you had to be mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So I'm preparing to open the door into like a serious conversation, and I open our apartment door, and all I hear from Andrew is, "Hey," and I drop my duffel bag. Exactly. I drop my duffel bag and I close the door and I leave. And I don't acknowledge the hello, and I just immediately, because I was like, this is crazy now.
Because again, I'm a really passive person, and I thought that like by me doing like hello, hey, like he was gonna walk in and be
Could
like,
he see you or no? You
No,
were like,
he was
wow.
he was in the
my
distance
room with the door open, be like, oh my god, because I also had his location.
So
I think
you
at
were
this time.
like,
Yes.
you knew
So
when
I
he'd
knew
be
where he was
home.
coming, like when he was coming.
You were
back.
like following the dot.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, fuck. I'm like gonna lay in my bed. I'm gonna lay in my bed, and he's gonna walk in, and I'm gonna be like, hey, and then like it happened that way.
And then it's gonna go great. He's gonna see my cute face.
Yeah,
And he'll forgive me.
And then he's gonna be like, hey,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna talk about it. I
Right.
thought that I knew that the conversation was gonna happen. I just didn't know how you were gonna walk into the space.
Where'd you go for a walk or something?
First I like called my friend. I was like, I'm staying at your apartment tonight. Like, I can't go back to my apartment.
And this was the friend. Was this Garrett?
No, this was
Drama.
Gina. Okay. But then Garrett, I also called Garrett. And Garrett was like, babe, I want to let you know that Andrew is absolutely so physically ill about this. Like, he did not do this with malintention. Like, he is so sick about it. I feel like you need to give him like a little bit of a pass. Like, he is not happy. He did not do this on purpose, and he like wants to die. And I'm sitting alone in a park facing the Manhattan skyline as it's pouring rain. I'm sitting in the rain.
You wanted your cinema
I
moment.
know.
He did.
It's so sick. And
You
I was
got
listening to
it.
The Archer by Taylor Swift on repeat, just staring out at the skyline. Because again, it felt so small, but it was
bigger
so
picture.
big.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, but thankfully Garrett really put it into perspective. And then I was thinking about Andrew, and I was like, he would never lie about this to actually like harm me. Obviously, he was afraid of like getting in trouble, and that's a bad sign for our friendship, that he feels that he could get in trouble with me.
Totally.
And I like had an overwhelming sense of like, I immediately forgave the situation. And then I think I texted you might have texted me as I was walking back.
Yeah, I basically
Well, you were
said, like,
watching my location. We learned
because when Joe left, I had to put myself to bed. Like, I had to go to sleep
Yeah,
because
you're
if
like,
I
where's
didn't
the Xanax?
exactly, because if I didn't,
but
I was, like,
naturally
gonna
just passed
spiral.
out.
No, I just passed out. I just passed out.
did?
I was so emotionally. It was the weekend of everything, and then I was just like emotionally drained that I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. If I wake up, no. But I texted Joe when I woke up, and I was like, hey, listen, like, I know I lied, and I can't explain it here over text, but like, I do think that we need to have a conversation, because I am really sorry, but I won't be able to explain it to you over this message.
Yeah. Wait, and is this the next morning or just
No,
later
this
that
is
night?
same
I'm still
day.
sitting in the
Okay,
rain.
okay. You're soaked.
And so at that point, like, yeah, no, I am. I'm dripping wet. I'm in the same clothes I've been wearing for like 2 days. My phone's on like 5%. Like, it's like literally like nightmare.
And you're using that 5% to listen to Taylor Swift.
Yes, on
course.
repeat, crying.
Until it dies.
And I mean, the story wraps up on a positive note. Like,
He gets back, and we both sit down to have a conversation.
We both cry.
in our podcast setup. Like, I'm at where I speak
Oh
on
my
the
God, you
podcast.
should have rolled the camera.
I know. We honestly really, it would have been an amazing
For a later
episode.
But we aired out a lot of things that we've never really talked about before. And we were like, this is
Okay.
actually a really important conversation to have if we're going in business. And like, I went through the whole reason like I would ever potentially lie or lied in that situation. He talked about his side, and we were like, okay, now I understand.
And it ultimately really did bring us closer.
It did.
But the question still remains,
Who was
who was the asshole?
I mean, honestly, because I relate with you a lot in this scenario where I would have a really bad habit of lying about very trivial things because I didn't want to get in trouble with
Yeah.
like my boyfriend
Yeah.
or like friends. And yeah, it was kind of like, I remember specifically like early on in my relationship with my boyfriend doing that. And he'd be like, why are you lying? Like, it's worse that you lie. I don't care if you did that. Like, one time I bought his, like, 16-year-old brother, like, a beer or something.
I love that.
And he was like, did you, because then I guess the bartender, like, saw or something. And he was like, did you just buy him a beer? And I was like, no. Like, a deer in headlights. Like,
Yeah.
no. And then, like, it came out that it was true. And, you know, he was just like, what the fuck? So I totally get that. I mean, I think I would say no assholes here.
That's very sweet.
I don't
need to
really
hear
think
that.
that either one of you. I mean, it was.
I
a
think I was an
misunderstanding,
asshole
I feel like. You
in a
think
few
you were?
ways. Well, I always do.
The whole drama that you needed on the trip was a little unhinged.
I also think it's fun for certain people, but it's not fun for everyone. Like, there are people who got it and people who, like, for example,
Clearly
Caroline
didn't.
was suffering through the
Yeah, she
weekend,
was suffering.
unbeknownst to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like
Yeah.
like when I'm a less sensitive person to those things, so I don't really think twice.
Right.
But I have since learned to take that into account because I can no longer just introduce to a group of really anxious people. I'm mad at one person and there's a list.
Yeah, and it does feel like your sense of humor is like too dry to the point where it was being taken
Yes,
seriously.
And I was like, no one understands me.
Yeah, and it's like, well, maybe you're
Yeah.
just doing a really bad bit.
Maybe you're being insane on this vacation.
So I would say but I think you kind of got what you deserved because you got your cinematic moment
Thank
in
you.
a way that maybe bit you in the butt a little
It
bit.
taught me a lesson. It's like maybe you don't need to be in Girls. Like maybe you don't need this drama because
lived
once
it.
you're actually in it, you're like, oh
You
no,
hate it.
I want to die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would say it was a good thing that happened.
Yeah.
I think you guys needed to talk about it. Getting into business with your best friend is probably insanely fun,
Yeah.
but difficult.
Yeah.
Because there's a risk.
Yes.
So I think that you guys had to have this.
We did.
It needed to happen. And
Yeah.
it was a misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. So I say, no assholes here.
I like breathe for the first time. Every time we tell that story, I still
we go
get
right back
sick.
into it. Yeah.
Well, who do you guys think? Well, you just think you both kind of fucked up,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I mean, it's one of those like everybody sucks here, no assholes here paradox.
Yeah.
It's like either you both did or you both didn't.
Right.
So let's
Yeah.
go with
Two
you both
assholes make
didn't.
no asshole.
Wow.
I guess
Yep.
that's
two
being
holes.
Love that. Okay, well, should we get into it?
Yes,
do it.
please.
All right. So, our first story of the day, no, our second story of the day is AITA for moving out suddenly and financially screwing my roommate / best friend. But first, AITA for the lie I told in drama class. This happened a long time ago, but I've always wondered, AITA? When I was a kid, I loved getting attention, but I never knew how to channel it in healthy ways. Mostly, I would pretend I was injured to get sympathy. I would steal family members' used crutches, wheelchairs, old arm braces, etc., and use them in public. I would fake my eye exams to get glasses, beg my parents for braces even when I didn't need them. You get the idea. I loved attention, but I was too afraid to get the attention in healthy ways like acting or singing or dancing until I started taking acting lessons at a local theater. My days of unhinged attention seeking were behind me, or so I hoped.
I'm obsessed with this person.
Yeah.
I had just started at a brand new high school half an hour away from my hometown where nobody knew me. We had an after school drama program that a lot of the kids attended, so naturally I signed up. To get to know each other better, one of our exercises was to bring in something special to us and share a story about it. This was like an initiation of sorts. This was a very well-known day for freshmen. The upperclassmen would talk about this day and would say how much it bonded their class. Although it wasn't explicitly said, this was really just a time for everyone to show off their traumas. It was such a typical acting class kind of exercise, bare your soul kind of shit. Well, I had a pretty idyllic childhood and honestly didn't have any trauma to share. I was never truly sick or broken a bone or even lost anyone in my life. Heck, I had all 4 grandparents still. I did, however, have a best friend growing up. I met her when I was 2. We were thicker than thieves, but then in middle school, she moved away and we grew apart, sadly. I thought maybe I could share this and how sad I was about losing a best friend. I brought a little stuffed animal that reminded me of her. But instead of sharing a story about how my best friend moved away, my attention-seeking ways got the best of me, and I took it one step further.
Yeah.
I pretended that she passed away after a car accident. I came up with an elaborate story, and I even sobbed my eyes out while telling the story. It was honestly the performance of a
I was
lifetime.
going to say that's just acting.
Yeah.
My classmates were so
Improv.
sympathetic towards me, coming up to me after and giving me big hugs. I basically had the most moving story of anyone. As I was doing it, though, I felt immense guilt, and even though my performance was pretty dang convincing and nothing was indicating that it was a lie, I felt like a total phony and that they could see right through me. I didn't have the foresight to realize that I would be friends with my classmates for at least 4 more years, and some of them would meet my parents and even my friends from back home. I prayed that no one would ever bring it up. Luckily, I was never outed, but there were several times when I had to steer the conversation away from anything related to best friends or death or my past in general because I didn't want to be outed as a dirty, rotten liar. So, AITA.
First of all,
I don't even know, like,
I need this person's docu-series.
Yeah.
I need to watch the show about their lives.
it's really interesting to hear that you look for different ways to seek attention, because I saw a lot of myself in this story at the beginning for sure. Like, I used to stare at the sun so I could get glasses. I literally used a straw for braces, and it was all for attention in different ways because
Truly.
other people were getting like, oh my god, love your braces, the Halloween theme are so cute, and I'm like, fuck them, I want braces.
No,
so
same.
but I never
I
channeled
was
it in
exactly
acting.
the same.
But the acting, the channeling it through acting, and then the sobbing of the story.
Academy Award.
Academy
Award.
Yeah.
I feel like I could see my brain as a child going to that place. Like I could, but I also think even myself, who was a truly ridiculous person, would struggle to go with the death route
Yes.
and commit to the bit. Like, I think the commitment to the bit is like actually really fascinating. Being able to do that for 4 years is something that I think that at some point I would have to leave the school. I'd have
Yeah.
to transfer out.
I can't imagine
the lie,
feeling.
the guilt.
The guilt
big
that
little
you would feel
lie.
for every single year, and any time they came around your family. No. Can you imagine you're in the space with your mom and you're talking about your friend? Oh my god, look at the stuffy. Look at like, whatever. Susanna's stuffy.
No, truly,
whatever.
you would have to avoid any kind of
anything.
that
The level of stress that this person went under as a teenager actually,
for just this moment of like, which actually seems like the moment didn't even hit like she thought it would.
no.
She
Because
thought
of the
everyone was lying.
guilt.
Yeah.
And she felt like people were seeing right through her.
And I think that your friend moving away is enough of the right? It's like, it might not have
That could
been
have
the
been.
moment she needed.
Yeah.
But your friend moved away and it was a different chapter of your life and you miss her so much, and like this reminds you of her. Like, okay, that's sweet.
And also, I feel like if you're going through life like borrowing your like injured family members' crutches for attention, there actually probably is some trauma that you haven't figured out just yet. If you're like, if that's where you're heading as a child.
No, I literally used to do this exact same thing. My grandma had a wrist brace, and kindergarten, I stole it, and I shoved it in my backpack. I didn't want anyone to know I was bringing it into school, and then I put it on. And of course, get all the sympathy. And then afterwards, the next day, I brought it in, I put it on the wrong wrist. So they called my mom and they were like, why is the wrist brace on her other wrist? My mom was like, what wrist brace? What are you talking about?
That's so
And
good.
then
You were
2
in
years later,
kindergarten?
5, yeah. And then 2 years later in 7th grade, 7 years old, this girl, my friend, her mom like worked at an optometrist. And so she came in with fake glasses. And I was like, I need a pair. And
Yeah,
she's like, okay,
I
I
have
got
to
you.
have them.
So the next day she comes in and we literally go into the girls' room, in a bathroom stall, and it was like a drug deal. Her pulling them out of the backpack, like giving them to me. And then I wore them for like not a long time because I didn't want to wear glasses anymore. And this one time I was reading to my teacher and she was like, I was reading poorly and she was like, where are your glasses? And I was like, I don't know. Like really, I just was a bad reader. It had nothing to do with my vision. And then she called my mom. She's like, where's Shannon's glasses? My mom didn't know I had these fake glasses.
Oh, she's like, what glasses now?
It's like first the wrist brace, now this.
And then another time someone had crutches and I would wear them to the grocery store. And then I ran into my neighbor's cousins and I had to like quickly crutch away because I didn't want her to go and tell my neighbors that I was on crutches.
I'm
They knew I didn't.
obsessed with this, actually.
So this really, so you
This-
wrote
you
it?
wrote this.
This is you?
I did actually.
No!
Yes.
Stop!
I was going before. We need to talk to this girl.
Immediately saying, I'm obsessed with her. Wait.
Oh,
Oh my god.
This was the
oh,
lie
duh.
I told my
Obviously,
boyfriend
acting
last
school.
night. That I was like, I have to get this off my chest. I was like, I think I want to talk about this pod. He's like, I don't think you should. I was like, I'll write it as if it wasn't me. But now it's me.
I'm sorry. I hope this is the best reveal of all time.
I am in disbelief.
Even before you said that, I was gonna say I don't think this person is an asshole.
No.
Because when you're like a teenager, you want to like it's like you don't think about the consequences of those things. And if you didn't feel shame about it now, you just revealed that you felt shame about it for your entire life.
Yes, I thought I was taking this to my grave, you guys, because
Yeah.
I
How
got away
free.
with it. I got away with it.
And that's
nobody ever
When you get
wonderful.
away with
It's
a
as-
lie, sometimes it's like you are gonna keep that to yourself forever. But I get it.
But
I
people
see it in
kill
you.
people and get away with it. You
Yeah.
fictionally killed a
But
person.
you're a people pleaser. I'm getting that you're a people pleaser and you wanted people to like you. And that for
sure.
that, when I was listening to this story, I was like, okay, I have not went to that extent, but I understand why you went there.
I love the way that you did that because, like, then obviously, yeah, you start telling, like, that was so crazy.
I was like, whoever wrote this in like is a really amazing writer, and they're taking
thank
me there. Whoa! Wow. Okay, so are you the asshole?
Well, because the other thing, because with like the getting attention thing, like going back to, because you were saying you're like
Yeah.
this too, is like I really just like always, I don't know why the sympathy attention thing was like the thing that,
Yeah.
because I was always shy. I was very shy growing up. And I don't necessarily like, I would get very nervous on stage.
Yeah.
Like not stage because I didn't do that until later, but like giving a presentation
Yeah.
to class. I would shake. Literally my nickname was Shaky Shannon.
Not
Sad as
Shaky
that.
Shannon.
Shaky Shannon. And so I never really wanted like eyes on me.
Yeah.
But I wanted attention.
Yeah.
And I was also never like confident enough to be like, you know, dancing and having fun. Cause like that's how I get it these days. Like I'm like
Yeah.
out there on the dance floor, like being crazy. So I just had to channel it in another wackadoo way.
Improv, and I'm even thinking about Shaky Shannon through the videos that you showed us before, and like thinking
That
about
Shannon
you-
wasn't shaky.
She wasn't shaky, but I understand
Yeah.
at that point, like, because we can resonate with putting a camera up with your friend and being the person who you wanted to be.
Yeah, in your own
But then in
comfort.
school, like, you can't even look
I
at someone in the
know.
eyes. Yeah.
And that's, but you still want the same attention and validation that you felt from like those videos
just
because
wanna
you
be
were a star.
seen.
You wanted to be
That's
seen.
right. I needed
Yeah.
to be seen. And now look at us.
And
Look
look,
at
at
us.
us.
Spotify.
We're
In front
really
of
being
4
seen.
cameras. I am so
assholes
glad you
here.
shared that story.
Yeah.
I think
Thank
it's
you.
like, I think, again, people can murder people.
Yeah.
And
True.
like you literally told a lie as a teenager.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's something that you should carry with you
Yeah.
to your grave out of sickness and shame.
You should be able to
Thank
put that
you.
behind you.
Well,
because
you
it's
guys
really not
inspired me.
I'm so
Truly,
glad.
you inspired me to share this. I truly thought it was something I was like, I got away with fake murder. I'm never gonna tell anyone.
You lived with the guilt
But
of that.
they tell some
Crazy things.
hilarious.
Oh, I fictionalized
stories.
my entire high school experience on Instagram. Like, no worries. Like, and that was putting that out there was crazy. I got so much hate, and I was like, actually, I was 15, so
Yeah.
I'm talking about it. So I don't really care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah,
like,
he was like the king of Photoshop.
yeah,
right?
yes.
Like,
and people were like
I literally-
narcissistic abuser. I'm like, okay, sure. Like, I was 17 years old on Instagram, but whatever you say.
I had to scroll back and see if there was anything left.
Yeah, I kept some. I
There
kept
was
like
Kylie,
one.
right?
Yeah.
There was a Photoshop
Yeah.
picture.
I like
It was pretty
re-unarchived
good.
it. Thank you so
I
much.
would have believed
It
it.
was.
People believed it, which is the worst part.
Joe was at the Oscars.
Yes.
Everything.
Wait, hold on. I rewinded this so many times. What was the New Zealand awards show that you?
The International New Zealand Music Festival Awards. I mean, like, that's just something. If you couldn't tell that was like a joke, you know,
But
like,
also, like, where did that come from? It's almost like
'Cause-
it's so elaborate. Like, how do
Music
you?
Festival
Awards.
Awards.
International New Zealand Music Festival
Festival
so good.
Awards.
It's so good.
So it's like whose music festival was
Right.
the best?
Yes. And people were like, I'm so jealous. I'm sitting in class. And I was like, that sucks.
Sucks. I'm in New Zealand.
And did you just take the day off or something?
No, this was because I went to a different high school. So like my school ended early, and then like all of my public school friends were still in class, like going to school.
But didn't your Catholic school friends see it?
Yeah, but I had like 4 friends in school, so
Oh,
it was
okay.
fine. It was a
They all
different
were in there. They're
experience.
like, okay, we'll believe it.
People knew. Everyone who I was actually friends with knew it was a bit, but no one else did,
Gotcha.
and that was the
gotcha.
main issue.
You take your bits hard.
Well, we're learning. Yes,
are.
we're learning.
Me too, I guess.
Yeah,
Yes.
we all are taking our bits hard.
We are.
But yeah, I think no assholes here.
No
Yeah, no
I don't
assholes
think you're
here.
an asshole. And I think that,
Really?
yeah.
I'm very nervous to hear what my listeners have to say.
I just think if you're going to judge Shannon for that, you have to think about the mindset of a 14-year-old who's willing to commit to that. It's like, you can't judge that person. They just wanted to be liked and wanted attention and wanted to feel like they fit in
And
with the group.
The sympathy in that moment, like, people forget about that going forward, and it's like your actions and how you made people feel, and if people still gravitated towards you was more based on you than
Oh, than
your
the
fake
story.
dead
Yeah.
friend. So
For sure. But you guys, I've like never been able to cry on cue or fake cry in my like whole acting career.
you channeled
This
it.
was my moment.
Do you
Like,
think that that's the
your
reason why you
friend.
can't now? Do you think because you channeled it for this, there's a shame and a guilt and there's
yes,
a block?
and now I can't.
Now you can. Now you can again.
Now
Now I
you're
can
gonna
again.
be
I've
soft.
released
Starting
that.
today, you're going to start.
No. But really, I was shocked that I like had those tears. Like it, like I guess I was like method acting. Like
Yeah,
it was
you were.
moving
But also,
me.
you're like, I can understand that, like, you're feeling a sense of already guilt and like embarrassment and shame for saying these, like, the words are coming out of your mouth in real time, and you're like, I
Yes.
can't believe that this is happening. Like, I'm gonna start crying, and you probably also channeled that feeling into sobbing uncontrollably.
Truly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna
Wow.
take this moment
Breathe. It's
for
out.
any of my crying scenes later.
Yes.
The embarrassment that
Congratulations.
will come.
Congratulations. You should feel really light.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
This is all because of you. So if I get hate, I'm blaming
But yeah,
you.
Well,
send them right
yes.
to me. It's okay.
All right. Second story of the day. I have them in the wrong order. Well, let's do this one. AITA for wanting to go on a guy's trip as a gay man. I, 21M, am in a friend group with 4 other guys. We plan to go at the end of this month and on a 3-day guys trip together without any of our partners. All of the other guys from my friend group are straight as far as I'm concerned, and most of them have girlfriends currently. Well, one of my friends, let's call him Antonio, 22M, has a girlfriend, Gina. Gina wasn't happy to find out about this guy's trip she wasn't invited to, and she found issue with me being invited on the trip over her, outright asking her boyfriend why was I invited instead of her or any of the other guys' girlfriends. When everyone told her, because this is a guy's trip, she said that she doesn't find it fair that a gay guy is allowed to go alongside them, but not any of the girls. I
like I know
was
Gina.
perplexed and asked her what the fuck did she mean by that, and she said that I know exactly what she said. I said that I don't and asked her if she seriously thinks I'm going to have sex with the other guys on the trip. She just said that she didn't mean it like that, and she just didn't find it fair that her boyfriend wouldn't invite her on the trip. Honestly, I was completely done with her by that point and just got up and left the conversation. Well, apparently Gina and Antonio kept arguing over this issue, and now Antonio's asking if I would reconsider dropping out of the guys' trip because me being there is causing issues with his relationship. I told him that he's being ridiculous to try and kick me out of this trip over his girlfriend's weird insecurity issues, and thankfully all of the other guys backed me on this. Well, now Antonio's saying that if I'm going, then he might drop out of the trip instead because according to him, he has too much of a good thing going with Gina to risk losing it.
Doesn't seem like it.
No, she's clearly like, really insecure in the relationship.
Which I found absurd, especially when the trip's location was a place he really wanted to see and absolutely nothing inappropriate was going to happen on this trip. AITA?
Antonio's gay.
Antonio is gay.
First of all.
Okay.
She wouldn't be that upset with him going on the trip if
if
she
she
didn't have
didn't
any
think.
doubts about his sexuality.
She has doubts. Maybe he's not gay. Maybe he's bisexual, but maybe she has doubts about his sexuality.
Interesting.
100%.
Yeah, like maybe Antonio and OP, the guy that wrote it, have like a flirtation or
Right.
something that she's like.
OP
insecure
is
about.
asking if he's the asshole here.
That's
Yes.
crazy.
That's crazy to me. Like,
Yeah, like, am I
actually,
asshole for being a gay man existing in the world?
even if she's saying that she doesn't think that anything sexual is gonna happen, that's almost
Worse.
Yes.
Because I'm like, okay, so you're saying that because he's a gay man, he's not a man, and like you
Right.
should be on the trip too because like he has feminine qualities that you think that you also have as a woman. It's
Right.
just that's not it, girl.
Because it's also like the OP is not a boyfriend of any of them.
Right,
So it's not even
yeah.
the issue that it's like somebody's boyfriend
Right.
is coming.
Yeah.
Well, why can't the girlfriends come?
Yeah.
Because then
That
I
would
would
be a whole different
understand that.
story.
And
Yes.
if
But it's
OP
just-
would be the asshole if he was like, I'm gonna go on this trip and like I do think Antonio could like kind of get it.
Right.
That's
And since
right.
Gina won't be there, this could be our opportunity. Asshole, sure.
Right.
No.
No, yeah. Gina's the asshole.
And Antonio should drop out if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, also
because-
Antonio is kind of the asshole. I'm sorry.
know.
Like if that's your friend and you're gonna let that happen, like and like like literally make it like kind of blatant homophobia, like that's kind of wild to me.
He's enabling
This is
it.
why
He
I
is.
could never have a friend group of straight men.
I
Yeah.
know. I
That's
was
problem
gonna
number
ask
one.
You guys
I don't
You said
really.
you guys are girls' gays.
Yeah.
Like you love
Yeah.
the girlies.
And I think that, like, I mean, like, I've had straight friends before. I don't know if I would necessarily go on, like, a guy's trip with them. Well, actually, I think I have.
You
actually.
have, and
I
you
have.
would.
And it was
Would.
fine. And it was like, but everyone knew it wasn't like Andrew's going to make in advance. And I think that's what's hard sometimes with gay men and straight guys is like, I've been so insecure in my relationships with men.
yes.
Or friendships with men because my biggest fear is they think that I like them and I
Totally.
don't. Why I like them is because they make me feel comfortable,
Yes.
not that I want to be with
Yeah,
them.
it's just platonic.
And like
Yeah.
sometimes when the girlfriend sees like a gay and their straight friend being friends, they're like they have doubts about themselves.
Right.
But
And unfortunately, like it's not an unwarranted fear that you have because
course.
there's so many straight men who are like, "Oh God, they're coming on to me." I'm like, "Don't fucking flatter yourself."
Yeah.
there are
like
also
they are
so
not.
many straight men that are like DL.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That you wouldn't know, but like then you go on Grindr and there's a blank profile and you're like, that's a straight man with a
shit.
girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I
Are
get
they just
that
showing
fear.
like hole or something?
I wish. No, they're showing nothing, but then they'll be like,
Oh,
can't
it's just
send.
blank?
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of blank
Completely not
profiles.
even body parts?
No,
Nothing.
nothing. And then they'll message
Oh.
you. Usually what happens is they'll message you.
Oh, and then
And you have to be
private.
insane enough to respond to the blank profile,
Yes.
which
Yes.
sometimes you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are in those moments. And then sometimes
Especially
they lead
if
with
they're
the
like
pictures.
25 feet
Yes.
away, right?
Or they'll just send body pictures. They sometimes won't send their face because they're like, no, man, no, bro, I can't send you my face. Like, I'm super
I'm like,
DL.
are you the president? Like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
truly.
it's
okay.
know that I'm going to be talking to about this.
Right.
But yeah, Antonio needs to figure it out. And I also, it's like, he is enabling homophobia, which in turn, like, does make him homophobic, like, towards his friend. I would also say to OP, like, really reconsider your friendship with Antonio, because if he doesn't have your back in moments like this, like, it's, if he's willing to put Gina first over, like, an identity thing too, that's not cool.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense at all. Are you guys attracted to straight men?
I'm vehemently not.
Oh, okay.
Was.
Yeah.
I think that, like,
were.
I'm getting out of that, and I think that that is the journey of gay.
Yeah.
I came out a little bit later, so, like, I think a lot of my relationships or the feelings that I had for men happened to be with straight guys. Never, like, we never did anything, but I always harbored those feelings.
Yes.
Being, like, thinking about the what ifs, but instead of living in the what ifs, I've taken a step back, and I know that going for gay men is going to work out for me.
Right. Is it like the chase at all?
It is the chase.
You want what you can't have.
Yeah, you want what you can have. And you find it so much easier. And then when you do have what you can have, it's like, no, on to the next one.
Well, I'm sure also, like, as a kid, you know, basically all you were exposed to was these TV and movie characters of these, like, dreamy straight men, boys. So it was kind of like that's what you were attracted to.
Right.
So then I can see how it would be hard to, like, not try and go for that once you're out.
When you grow up closeted too, like, you build up so much internalized homophobia that, like, you see gay men in high school or anything, and you're like, oh, they're the theater gay, right? Even though, like, you are too, but you will never admit to it. So it's so much easier to cling to, like, Jack on the lacrosse team, because you're like, oh, Jack is cool and he's cute, but, like, he doesn't know that I'm gay. But I'm gonna hang out with Jack today. You know, so it's like you have to really, like, debunk a lot of that internalized homophobia to get to a place where, like, you're willing to commit to a gay man instead of thinking about, oh, that straight man is so hot. Because that's the problem with a lot of gays.
That makes sense. Yeah, most of my guy friends, they came out later too. Like, after college, but they were, like, hooking up on the down low, like,
good for them.
For years before that. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, I had no idea that my, like, best friends were, like, hooking up behind my back.
Wow.
I was, like, shook.
I would have made that all about me.
I wasn't surprised in the slightest that they were gay, but the fact that they were, like, hooking up for, like, years.
And you're like, and you guys didn't tell me?
Yeah, what? You didn't invite me? Like, I'm confused.
You were hanging out without me?
What's going on?
They're like, yeah, I'm actually with Kyle right now. Do you guys want to get lunch, Shannon? You're like, why are you with Kyle?
Seriously. Okay, so obviously we're going...
No asshole.
Not the asshole.
Not the asshole.
Let's go to the next one.
Please.
AITA for moving out suddenly and financially screwing my roommate and best friend. So I've 27F, been close friends with Tara, 26F, for about 8 years now. Early on, we made plans to move in together. She shared a 2-bedroom with her boyfriend at the time. They had broken up, and the plan was for him to move out, and I'd move into her second bedroom. 3 weeks before moving in, she texted me that they had worked things out and no longer wanted to move in with her. I was pissed because I had already given notice to my apartment and had to move in with my parents. She apologized profusely and had always been a good friend otherwise, so I forgave her. 3 months later, they broke up for good, and he moved out, leaving her struggling to pay bills for 9 months left of the lease. She moved back in with her parents after that in financial ruin, as she put it. Years later, this past summer, we moved in together. I was hesitant initially, but she did all the work finding a place and paying deposits. It was awesome living with my best friend, and we had a great time until last month. She had a friends with benefits situation with a guy at her work for almost a year. She sat me down and told me that they were making things official and wanted to move in together. So she wanted me to move out when his lease was up in 5 months so he could move in with her. I was livid. I totally blew up at her. I called her shitty and selfish and told her I would never forgive her for jerking me around like this again. The argument ended with both of us in tears. That weekend, while she was staying at her boyfriend's, I packed all my shit and moved out. I happened to know someone with a nice 3-bedroom house for rent. It was actually a really good deal that I had passed up earlier before moving in with her, but it was available. She's been texting me ever since about how I'm screwing her over just like her ex did, that I overreacted and that she can't afford the place by herself. Honestly, I consider our friendship over at this point, but now I've calmed down. I'm wondering if I am the asshole. AITA? Okay, so logistics of this. It seems like it's a little complicated.
Yeah, I lost track for a second, but I came back by the end.
So they were going to move in together, but then she was like, nope, fuck you.
Boyfriend.
I'm moving in with my boyfriend.
Yes.
While she was already out of the apartment. And,
Asshole
like,
count one.
Asshole
Yes.
count one.
Yeah,
On Tara.
on Tara.
And then they ended up moving in together years later. Oh, because he screwed her over.
Yeah.
Right.
He ended up screwing her over. So she was
Came
out
crawling
and having
back.
to pay money on a lease.
Yes.
So then OP and Tara finally get together. And then once again, she's trying to pull this shit on her. But she was talking about in 5 months, we're going to move out. So she was giving her 5 months leeway. But instead of waiting the 5 months,
She
she was
moved out
just like, I'm
immediately.
out. Again, putting Tara back into this like financial ruin position where she had to pay double on a roommate.
This is really tough.
Yeah, it's a tough
Because
one.
I'm feeling like Tara. This is tough, but I'm feeling like Tara obviously is prioritizing these men and
Yeah.
the relationships over her friend. Which, when you're swept up in it, I
Yes.
can get it. But at the same exact time, it sounds like Tara's really moving quickly with these men.
Tara's
Yes.
annoying.
Tara's annoying
for
because it's
sure.
also out of
I know.
convenience for Tara.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my boyfriend moved out. Like, now we get to move in together. That's amazing. Oh, suddenly I have a new man. You got to get out in 5 months, girl.
Yeah.
No.
And it was a friends with benefits like
Yeah.
situationship that they're now making official. Like, you're going to move in together?
Yeah.
You're barely official and you want to move in together?
Which
No.
I guarantee you. Well, I'm kind of like horror. I'm like manifesting this for Tara, but like, who's to say? Maybe 5
Yeah.
months down the line, Tara's also going to be reaching out to OP and being like, "It didn't work out," and Tara, maybe you're going to learn your lesson.
I guarantee that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
The 5 months.
The 5 months thing. But at the same, like, when you're in a friendship like that and it's like that back and forth and that complicated, I feel like there is a world where you're just like, actually, fuck it. Like, I can't make you
Yes.
my priority. I can't bend my life around your needs. I've done this once. I'm not doing it again. Like, I'm just like, unfortunately, it's horrible, but like, Tara's financial burden is not OP's responsibility. And if you're living, this is your home and you've said yes, you were told no, you said yes, you were told no. Like, I would just be like, I need to remove myself from this insane person's life.
And to sit there,
Yes.
to sit there for another 5 months when you're already feeling those
Yeah.
things and feeling like and it's not that you don't want me around, but that's kind of how I would internalize it, being like, okay, so you don't want to live with me, you want to live with somebody that you're friends with benefits with, that like,
Yeah.
you don't even know if you cohabitate well with them.
Yeah.
I
Like,
don't even know
fuck
if you
off.
work well in
You
a
don't even know
relationship,
them.
period.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
That's a friends with benefits.
I think
I would be out.
I would be out too. I don't think that.
I would be out. I would leave immediately, and then I feel like I would then reach back out to Tara and be like, I will pay like half of my rent until like this certain month, and then I'm done.
Oh, you would.
Pulling
feel like
out
I would
the
feel a little bit of
hard is
guilt.
tough.
How long though? Like what? 2 more months? Or
Yeah,
something?
I would say
Yeah.
find someone else, like
Find
find a
a subletter
sublet
for
or
something.
something.
Oh yeah,
and like
she could
yeah.
totally do that.
Yeah.
It's not like she's, if she hit the ground running,
Yeah.
like she could get somebody in like the end of the month.
Yeah.
My knee jerk reaction would be I'm out, and then I feel like I would come back around after like 24 hours.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
on Tara's part. Like, it's not all or nothing. It's like, go on a Facebook housing group and say I have a room for rent for 3 months and like try. But it sounds like she's seeking convenience and that's not convenient for her. But yeah,
Yeah, I do. I think especially because this other house was like available, that she like originally was going to go into that 3-bedroom, and it's like, okay, well, here's this opportunity I can move in with. I think it was her friend.
Yeah.
Because that might go away too.
Right.
exactly.
Like that just happened. The
Yeah.
room happened to be available there, so I can understand wanting
you
to
gotta be
hop
selfish.
on that.
Yeah.
If Tara's being selfish,
It's
I would
like
be selfish
2
too.
Yes.
strikes,
Yeah.
and it's like not a 3-strike rule
No.
situation because she was already hesitant moving back in with her.
Yeah.
But I do also kind of see, I think Tara's being a really shitty friend, especially with how she's like prioritizing men. But it does suck that like her boyfriend had done this to her. And then it's like, well, you knew my boyfriend did this to me where he left me in like financial ruin.
Yeah.
And like now you're going to do that to me too when I gave you 5 months notice. Like I can hear it being written
Yeah, no,
in
of course.
her
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah.
And how that it could also be like,
But how long was she OP living in the apartment before she said something? Because I feel like when you go, at least for us, listen, when you go into a lease, we're like, we at least know that we're going to be with each other for 12 months.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, if I had that indication going into the lease, I'd be like, okay, great. We're with each other for 12 months.
And
Even
then
for
after
you, like
that-
if you're in a relationship, which you are, it's like, if you ever want to move in with your boyfriend, I would know that you would move in with your boyfriend probably once the lease is
Yeah,
up.
like I would never turn to you and be like, by the way, you have 5 months.
Yeah.
Get out.
I would have been
Like,
preparing
I think
for
that
it,
is an
knowing a
asshole thing to
timeline.
do regardless.
Yeah.
yes.
I completely agree.
I think that's like very, because it's all, again, it's your
Yeah.
home. Like you want stability and peace and normalcy in your home, and suddenly you're like getting kicked out of your home
Yeah.
for a situationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the thing too that I think she had mentioned. Oh, edit for clarification. My name wasn't on the lease. She handled the paperwork. I didn't want to throw speculation into my post, but I 100% believe that she did that on purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
Tara's
sure.
the
So
asshole.
that she would just be able to like control the situation if a man came along that wanted to live with
Yes,
her, you know?
Yeah,
she
Tara
seems
is
very
the
self-involved and not concerned. I mean, yeah, like there's two sides to that story, but you're kind of also kicking someone out of their home.
True.
Which is crazy.
Yeah,
That
you're
you
right.
probably
For a
justify and be
man.
like, you're not on the lease.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't care about me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if it was the end of their lease,
Yeah.
but it was like 2 months before? Because the lease was coming up to an end.
Right.
So it was already like you knew you were going to be together for 12 months.
Yeah.
She gave you 60 days.
To,
What
as
do
in
you guys
like,
think then?
oh, that's fine
That's
to me
fine.
then.
Okay.
If she was like, hey, by the way, I'm gonna I don't like in the next 2 months, like when the lease ends.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't
I
have
would-
to see a problem with that.
No, I don't see a problem with it. I probably would still ask though, like, how long did you know? But that's just for my own
okay.
personal. Like,
If you're saying
reasoning.
like
Yeah.
if we were, well, I guess I mean it would be crazy.
'Cause if
So
we were having
next,
conversations-
like March, I said to you, me and Ross are moving in together. You had to find a new apartment. Would it shock you?
only if we had conversations beforehand
About not doing that.
doing
Yeah.
that. I'd be like, oh, so when did this come up?
Right.
Right, because I would want to know if you've been thinking about this since January and just
Didn't
tell
say a
me,
single thing, yeah.
Because then I would be upset.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be like, fuck off. I would
Right.
be like, sure,
But
you
2
can
months
do
is
that.
kind of also still short notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would
Maybe
still
5
like
months
pick
is
up.
normal actually. Now I'm changing my tune.
What do you think?
She gave her 5 months.
It is a long time.
That's a really long time to prepare to leave.
Oh my god,
think
we're
it's-
gonna go on this. We're gonna go.
Now
back.
I'm like,
I think it's just the like pattern.
the pattern is the problem. Because if
It's-
it was just that situation, that's normal.
yeah,
because this actually
she's
happened
jerking
with-
her around. To her point, it's
with
what's happening.
parallel parking Maddie and I. So I lived in LA for 2 years before, 3 years, and then she moved out and we moved in together. And then I'm actually like curious now at what point I told her this, but my boyfriend and I had started dating literally the week she moved out. So I do think that kind of caused a little bit of strain on our relationship because all of a sudden I was like spending so much time
Yeah.
with this guy.
Yeah.
But then we moved in together a year later. And I feel like I did tell her like pretty early on. Like, I think Max and I was kind of more telling her, like, I think Max and I are going to move in together.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of more like an exciting thing
Yeah.
instead of like oh, by the way, you need to find someone. And I almost feel like it was months before because I was sort of just like preparing her, like, we're having these
Yeah.
talks.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Didn't want it to be until then. And I almost think her reaction was more like, are you sure it seems a little soon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it was almost more for like my well-being than it was
Yes.
for her own.
Which makes sense.
And it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like when you are in a relationship like that, it's like then your friends do kind of need to be in on that conversation because it's like, yeah, I also care about where I'm going to be living next year if Joe is going to be living with his boyfriend. So it's
Right.
like, oh my God, we're starting to have the conversation about moving in together.
Yes.
Introduce the idea instead of telling me it's definitive.
And I think that's what I had
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, this seems so definitive when it's
Yeah.
like, you're just started dating.
yeah.
How do you even know? Like, you guys have been together a while, right?
Yeah, like a year and a
So it
half.
wouldn't be like too much of a shock
No.
if like all of a sudden they wanted to live it.
By next year, yeah,
Yeah,
like 2.5
right,
years.
yeah.
Like that's normal.
Yeah. Well, you guys are gonna have to get like a studio or something.
I know.
Because you're doing it.
You're
at
not
home
doing
right
that,
now,
Joe.
I'm the asshole.
They don't ever have to leave their apartment, like, period.
Yeah.
These two.
No, literally. No, we're gonna.
We have social lives, we have work lives, we have everything there.
It's just there.
We'll have a 2-floor apartment. You guys could live on the bottom floor. What do you
Yeah,
want?
perfect. Okay, great.
Three's Company.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Literally.
Okay, so we're going. Oh, what are we going here with this one?
I'm gonna say not the asshole.
I think that's
But
what it
could
went
be.
on Reddit.
Yeah.
I do think if we got Tara's side, it could be slightly different, but I do just think her pattern of choosing men, not being thoughtful, that she is jerking her roommate around.
Yeah.
I think on these, we will go NTA.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a little treat for you guys. So at the end of their podcast, they always do a little snack time.
Stop. This is the most incredible experience of my life.
And
my
on
God.
Thursday, we were talking about something very special, weren't we?
Sidecar donuts. I actually was saying, I mean, to you, obviously talking about the donuts, but ever since I've been thinking, like, I need to get donuts.
And they're like only
This
on the
is
west
so
side, and they're
sweet.
staying like in Silver Lake, right?
Yeah.
This
So
is very,
sweet.
very
So
sweet.
good. We have to have them. We'll do the last situation as we're
Oh my
eating
god.
them.
Oh my god. I'm almost gonna need a sampler.
Yes, seriously, and they're the best.
Wait, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
having
much.
us.
This was
And
so
like,
sweet.
it feels very
course.
personal and very sweet. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely.
Okay, how
I'm
are we-
so blessed you guys are on.
Are we eating these on the pod?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry for the misophonia people out there. but
Oh,
we'll
they
try
get
and-
pissed at us.
Shannon, it's almost like I'm gonna be saying it like you made these donuts. This is
Aren't
so
they so good? Okay, so this is a listener submission. It is food related, so. AITA for calling an older man in Whole Foods a nasty mofo. I, 35F, like to treat myself to Whole Foods Hot Bar on days where I'm working. There was an older man, maybe 65, a retiree, and he was at the mac and cheese bar, so I was patiently waiting with my container. He scoops half the tray of mac and cheese and closes the container, and right when I thought it would be my turn to grab some, he takes the container he just filled and dumps all the mac and cheese back into the tray. It's getting all over his hands. It was gross. He was about to mix it in with the untainted mac and cheese, and I couldn't even help myself before he was about to mix. I say, "Stop! What are you doing? Did you not just dump that entire container back into the tray? I want some mac and cheese, but I do not want that shit that you dumped in and got all over your hands. You get an employee and they dispose of it. You don't dump it back in. That's gross and disrespectful to anyone who may want to eat it, and you are a nasty motherfucker."
I love that monologue
Yeah.
that was delivered.
Yeah.
She goes, "The old man kind of looked embarrassed and he wandered off without saying anything. I grabbed a scoop of the untouched mac and cheese from the back and finished my shopping. I was complaining about the situation with my friend, and they were saying that I'm the asshole for calling out this older man. AITA?
I think some people deserve to hear that. Maybe in kinder terms.
Yeah.
Maybe in kinder terms.
Nasty motherfucker is really
Nasty
taking it far.
motherfucker. It's pretty tough.
At the Whole Foods Hot Bar, no less.
She was carroting out. Sometimes I can see it, like I feel it sometimes too, but like I probably wouldn't have went on that.
Yeah, I would never in my life,
monologue.
actually.
That is a very long
I
monologue.
think
Yeah.
I would have been more facially like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I would have
Yeah,
never in my
hell?
life verbalized a single one of those thoughts out loud.
No.
Yeah, no.
I'm so passive, like I would have just walked away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I would, but my face
Would have said it all.
said
But
it
she
all.
really wanted that mac
Mac
and
and
cheese.
cheese,
And
yeah.
I understand, like, in
True.
those moments, like, she wasn't willing to give up. Because I would have said, you know what?
I'm not going to have the
I'm not
mac and
gonna
cheese.
get
I
the
know,
mac
and
and
she
cheese.
still had the mac and
Yeah.
cheese at the end. She still scooped
Still
it.
did, yeah.
She still
the
scooped it.
untainted.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think if I really was dying for it, I think I maybe would have been like, hey, wait,
Yeah.
hold on. Like, don't mix
Yeah.
that in.
I don't think I ever would. What I imagine is this is a person at the end of their rope. Like they had a really stressful day and this was the final straw. And I think everyone deserves one moment in their lives where they act like that. Like
Yes.
everyone gets that like once or like maybe twice.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had that yet, but the day will come.
I like sometimes hope that like not terrible things happen. Well, clearly I hope bad things happen to me, but I like sometimes I'm like I want someone to wrong me so badly
Yeah.
that I can punch them in the face and everyone would be like,
You had a
"You
point.
should
Yes.
have done
Yeah,
that."
yeah.
Like I crave that. Like I'm
Yes.
like someone wronged me so bad that I can fucking deck the shit out of them,
Yeah.
knock their teeth out, bloody nose.
Yeah.
And everyone would be like,
Good for you.
She
Good for
did.
her.
She got
Yeah.
the sympathy.
so if anyone wants to come at me.
Like, what are we gonna introduce right now? By the end of the episode, it's just you on camera.
It's a brawl.
Punching the shit out of you guys.
No, I don't. I've been in situations with that. Like, I feel like our parents, our moms, are like they can do that in
Yeah.
the supermarket, but it's never like you nasty motherfucker. But
Yeah.
it's like
Yes.
it's like they'll say something like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, you cut me in line. What is that?
Oh my
about?
god,
Why
that
are you
was
cutting
like
me in line, huh?
that's the reason
Yeah.
I was anxious. I was an anxious child.
Even the
There was
planes.
so much confrontation between my mom and people in supermarkets. I was so sick going anywhere.
Truly. I
Planes
think
make me
like
sick.
maybe when I become a mom, like something
Yeah,
will
I
just switch in
guess.
me and I'll just like have this.
Because I can't understand
Like,
it as an
on
adult.
edge, like supporting somebody else's life as well.
guess
I
that's
can
part
only
of it.
imagine.
Mama Bear just comes
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And the mac
Yeah.
and cheese will not be tainted.
Yeah. I don't know. Is she the
I
asshole?
think that she's the asshole.
Yeah, she is the asshole here.
With
I
love.
think so too. Like she did take it a little too far, but I also like kind of love it
Yeah.
as well.
No.
She said what needed to be said. I think it just needed to be said a little differently.
And sometimes
Say
when you
what you mean.
deliver with more tact, the point gets through.
Yes.
Because I have this theory on the podcast that when someone wrongs you, but then you do something worse as a reaction or retaliation,
Oh, you
they
lose.
become the victim.
Yes.
For sure.
But in this scenario, he really was the one that was wrong.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden,
It's
he's
this
the
poor old
victim.
man,
yeah.
If anyone saw it happening, he's this poor old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say what you mean, but don't say it mean. That's what my therapist has told me. Yeah.
My mom would always say, "It's not what you say; it's how you say it."
Yeah.
Exactly.
'Cause I had an attitude.
If that old man was to take that and be like, okay, you fucking like, then
Yes.
you walk away from that situation. And
But
you're
also,
like,
you
I got
you
that.
brought it there. No matter what,
But
she
the idea
did.
is-
She invited him to start acting like
True.
that, which
Yes.
is also crazy.
She was doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
She
trying
called
to
him a
get a rise
nasty
out of him.
motherfucker. He could have gone around and started screaming right back. There could have been the cops called to Whole Foods
But
over
I'm
the
sure
mac and
that
cheese.
sat with him for the rest of the day. You know,
Yeah.
what I mean? I
And,
would
and
sit
his
with me.
reaction, he looked embarrassed and he wandered off.
I would be sick if I was her. I honestly would have been sick after that. If
Yeah.
like, he walked away like, yeah.
The Archer in my headphones, staring out at the skyline rain.
Yeah.
right after that,
Yeah,
eating the mac
actually.
and cheese.
Writing
You're like, why isn't it raining today? This would have been the perfect day. Okay, so I think we are gonna go
Asshole.
Yeah.
yes, YTA.
YTA,
Yeah.
you're the asshole.
But we kind of love it.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Sometimes we love an asshole.
yeah. Sometimes
I love Emma
I love
Roberts.
an asshole.
Okay, I have a little fuck, marry, kill game for us to end on. Okay. First round is singers. Taylor Swift, Biebs, or the Cheetah Girls with Raven Simone. That version.
Let's all be really conscious of what we say about Taylor Swift.
Yes, yes, yes. We're all gonna marry
Mary
her.
Taylor. Mary Taylor.
Yeah.
Just like that.
I'm gonna marry Taylor, and this sucks to say, but I'm gonna marry Taylor.
You're going to kill the Cheetah Girls?
It's just because I really want to fuck Justin Bieber. Like,
I know.
do. I'm gonna fuck
Yep.
Justin Bieber, and I'm gonna kill the Cheetah Girls because I already got my girl in the mix, and I'm married to her.
That was my exact order.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, you live on my dumb.
I would kill
Fuck Justin
Bieber.
Bieber, marry Taylor. And I love the Cheetah Girls, but
I
like,
know.
When it comes down to it.
We love all. Yeah.
I would kill Bieber in a heartbeat. Not not in real life, but just in this game.
Here I go back to the straight men. I can't
Yeah.
get over them.
I know.
But sometimes
He never resonated for me ever.
Really, that
yeah.
voice.
he
Oh.
only like that was my introduction to being like, oh, I have a really big crush, and it's Justin Bieber. Again, my whole life was like, I want to be that one less lonely girl, and I never could be.
Totally.
Imagine.
So sad.
It's so
Remember,
sad.
they would like bring a girl on stage, right?
I would seethe. Like, I would get really, really. I knew one of the girls. She went to my high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she, Madison Square Garden, sat on the chair, and I'll never forget. I was like, you know what? Like,
Well, then everyone hated her, right?
well, yeah. I mean, I hated her.
Yeah.
You're like,
You're
if I
like,
can't have that, I'm sticking a straw between my teeth.
Yeah,
I'm getting my
exactly.
fucking braces.
I'm getting braces, so have
Everyone's
fun.
like, wait, why is Andrew like so upset about this?
Like,
I
he doesn't
swore
even
he's
like you that
straight.
much.
Okay, TV/movie characters. Troy Bolton from High School Musical. Esteban from Sweet Life.
Wait, you really, I really appreciate the attention to detail you put into this episode.
Literally.
Or Robbie Stewart, aka Billy Ray Cyrus from Hannah Montana.
Okay.
Okay.
Esteban, Troy, and Robbie.
Yeah.
Robbie Ray.
I'm
That's
gonna
your
marry
I think we'll be on the same
Esteban
page.
because I want that every day.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm
freaking
gonna
cute.
be fucking Troy Bolton, and
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna flip, and then I'm gonna be killing Billy Ray.
Wait.
You didn't have to say flip.
Sorry, but like, I because I'm saying I'm gonna fuck him, but I also want him to fuck me.
Right, no, yeah. No, yes, thank you for reiterating.
Oh my God.
I would agree with that exact lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was similar, but I fuck Troy Bolton
And-
marry Esteban.
Oh, we said the same thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, we did?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
We're on the same page.
And Billy Ray.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
get
sorry to
really
Billy Ray.
competitive and weird if that was gonna be if there were 3 men in this room and
We all
three
have
of
the
us.
exact same taste in them.
And we're like,
We'd be
okay, so
duking it
who's
out.
gonna
Suddenly,
marry
suddenly you
Esteban?
become Gina.
Suddenly you're punching
Oh my
us
God,
in the
I'm
face.
on the list. I'm on the list, you guys. All right. And then cereal mascot edition.
Okay.
Stop.
this is
Okay,
so
yeah.
good.
We've
Okay.
discussed this at great length. We've given it a lot of thought.
Tony the Tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snap, Crackle, and Pop together.
Oh my god, it's an orgy?
Yes. Or a polyamorous relationship,
Right,
whichever you
yes.
choose. Or a triple homicide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Step, crackle, and pop up and found
so
dead by
good.
triple homicide. It's
Or
horrible.
Lucky the Leprechaun.
Okay. I'm gonna marry Tony.
Okay.
I'm gonna fuck Snap, Crackle, and Pop. And I think that's what's actually gonna also, never mind, be happening. We're gonna Snap, Crackle, and then Pop. And then I'm gonna unfortunately kill the Leprechaun. Although I think that it would be really sweet and intimate.
Yes, I
You know.
think so too.
But he has to die.
I'm triple homiciding. I can't get behind it with those elves, but I think I would fuck the leprechaun and marry Tony. Tony just seems like the father
Sweetest.
figure I
Tony.
need.
He's like always like my crush.
Yeah.
Of he's kind of the pretty boy.
Yeah.
And you know he'll make a great dad.
For a great dad.
Like soccer practice, like how he has a cover.
Oh.
Yeah, he is
Yeah.
a soccer coach,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Isn't that his thing?
It's sweet.
And he wouldn't be the kind that like only plays his kids, like as
No,
the
he'd be
pitcher,
fair.
first
Yes.
baseman, and put all of us in the outfield.
Yeah.
But he would still have the orange slices on deck.
Oh,
That's all that
And
matters.
his frosted
Oh wait,
flakes.
I
And his
was
frosted
doing
flakes.
baseball position, soccer.
But we wouldn't even clock it. And that's the craziest part.
We're
For
like,
sure.
yeah, picture.
That's right. Mine would be the same order as yours, because like
You gotta.
3 men loving on me.
Yeah, you have to.
I need it.
You need it. I need it. I need it so bad. Yeah.
I truly do. Well, do you guys have any more? That was all the ones I had.
I
Oh my
can't.
God.
I'm never gonna remotely come close to Snap, Crackle, and Pop as an option.
That exceeded my expectations. I'm so happy you thought about that one.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. This
Thank
was
you for
so
having
much
us.
fun.
It was really, really, really fun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad.
I do this every day.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Done.
Follow them. Good Children Pod. So fucking funny. Literally laugh out loud, rewinding funny. Like
Thank
it'll
you.
make you confess your own
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah. You'll face it head
Trauma
on.
that you've inflicted on yourself.
Yep.
Tell them where else they can find you.
You can find us across all social media platforms at Good Children Pod. You can listen to us on every single streaming service. Good Children Podcast. I'm on Instagram at Andrew Muscarella, on TikTok at Andrew_Muskie.
I am on Instagram at Joe Hedges.
All right. Well, there you have it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Like, again, the
all
way that you
amazing.
personalized it is really crazy to me. Like, it is so kind
Yeah.
and like
By
really,
far the
really,
best
really-
podcast we've ever done.
Yes, truly.
Period.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Really, really, really amazing.
Thank you. Well, I seriously love you guys.
Thank